Hello there, I'm Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to some more Sims 4 speed builds on the channel here. This is part 3 of Overlook Mansion, which is the last part of Overlook Mansion. So we are starting where we left off here in the living room. Now I would like to point out a mistake of mine. I did wrong on my math, and I don't know if you realized it or not, and probably didn't so much, but I was talking in the first video where I did math and to figure out how long the different parts were, and I was saying they should be somewhere from 20 to 25 minutes each. I was wrong on that. I don't really know where I messed up on the math, but I messed up somewhere. I have a slight feeling I know what I did, but because I think I was almost thinking of it like more closer to an hour versus the hour 20. I don't know. But anyway, so part 2 and part 3 are longer than I was saying they were going to be, and part 3 in particular I think is going to end up being the longest, when usually it's the last part is the shorter one. But you know, whatever. I made a little mistake, but it's fine. It still isn't going over 30, which I'm happy with. So, and technically I may end up finding parts in this one that I missed and need to be removed, so it may be shorter than I think it's going to be. But as of right now, it is not. So yeah, we're back onto the build here, working in the living room. I do take a split away moment from the living room to go work on this, like, game room. Obviously there's not much in it, but with the type of stuff like to play, like these gamey stuff that I have in here, and it's not like video gamey, it's just like, you know, it's got the table tennis, ping pong, the foosball. It does have that one gaming machine that's like the virtual video game thing, and the reason why I did that was because I did have like the space in behind in the not so formal living room that was just there, and I was like, well, maybe I put some game, like the llama gaming table, but I knew I was gonna have a gaming room, so I didn't want to take away from that room unless that it wasn't gonna have enough space. And I realized very quickly it almost didn't have enough space for me to put what I did in it. And the reason why I did the layout I did, and technically it doesn't have a whole lot of stuff in it, goes back to what I was talking about in part 2, where I want these to actually function. So I want the Sims to be able to use them. I omit to not usually, like, gameplay testing my builds before I upload them. The only time I generally do that is when there was something I did in the build that was, like, quite questionable on whether or not Sims could work around it or move around it. Then I'll test it in that case. But usually I build these builds in such a way that I'm I'm almost 100% sure that Sims should be able to use everything. They should be able to walk around everything fine. Now, so every once in a while there might be one or two things that you just gotta slightly shift, because the Sims act stupid about it. It's really random what Sims will act like they can and can't do. But for the most part, it should be fine, because I definitely, like, I play Sims all the time. I try to pay attention very closely when I'm playing in a new build, because a lot of times with these builds, like I was saying, even though I don't play test them immediately, a lot of my builds make it into my main save that I play on and off camera. So I see these builds in action, so I take notes if anything ever seems to not be working from a past build, and apply that to future builds and what has worked. And I think I've only had one or two builds where I had to slightly change something because it actually didn't work, that I didn't playtest before I, like, posted it. And a lot of times I'll, like, it's like something very small, so it's like not even a point. If it ever became something big, I'd probably re-upload it on the gallery and mention why I re-uploaded it, so that it's there. And with, you know, so you didn't, if you wanted to download it, you could, you know, go and download the more working version versus the version that might have like a really big issue, but I haven't come across any big issues to where that would be a problem. But if I did, that's what I would do, because I can't go in and edit on builds that I've already published and be like, oh, hey, this needs to be moved or whatever. So I can't actually go in and like well, I mean, I could technically add a comment on it, but maybe it's just me, but I rarely look at those. And the fact that I've had a few people comment on my builds, if you ever go and comment on my builds and I never say anything, or it takes me a long time to say anything, do not be surprised, because I forget they're even a thing on the gallery, and I've come across some where I'm like, huh, I didn't know. So then I'll get in like a big mood where I just check all of my builds. And usually there's not comments on them, but I've had the few that I'm like, huh, maybe I should check this more often. But oh well. At this point, you have seen what I was talking about in the last video, where it's like, you will understand at one point why there is 2, like, work tables. One, it is to try to put stuff in spaces and try to get furniture in to the different spaces and fill them up and not have any empty gaps. So that is part of the reason, but also it made sense because I have, like, I guess it in a way is a conservatory, because a lot of times rooms that have a lot of windows and a lot of plants in them are considered a conservatory when they're, like, inside of a house and attached to a house. So I guess that's what that sort of is, but, you know, it has all these plants all around it. I just went crazy with the plants in there. So, and that's also why I used the wallpaper I did, because in the process of putting all the wallpapers down, I decided that's what that room was going to be. So I was like, I'm just going to go full out with it and use this leaf wallpaper that we got in one of the free updates, which I never use because, me personally, it's almost too much and overwhelming unless you're building a very specific build. In this case, I had a room that it fit in. I would definitely say it would work really well also in a lot of builds in Sulani, but I think it has to have the special circumstances. Otherwise, it's a bit much, in my opinion. But I know a lot of people actually really liked it, but the thing is people wanted, like, other swatch variations of it. I think they wanted it some with the leaves all the way down and different things like that, but or something. There was something like that. I don't remember the exact way. It's been a while. But yeah, I did use that one finally, because I don't think I'd use it on any of my builds. If I did, it was definitely a Sulani build, but I don't even think I've used it on any of my Sulani ones. But it has been used now. And I did actually really, really enjoy that room. I liked that room quite a bit. I think I took more screenshots in that room than I needed to, but I didn't use all the screenshots that I actually took, technically. And this little area here is, I literally just put a couch and a bookshelf and a plant in there just to fill up that blank space. That technically doesn't have any red in it unless you count the books on the bookshelf, but it is technically a hallway, stairway type thing, so I wasn't fully counting it as a room. I just literally added that stuff to make that not just be an open, wasted area over there. So, you know, maybe, you know, the butler or live-in maid or someone goes and reads books on there instead of going down in the main study. Or maybe even the kids, if they don't want to go there, they can put their books on that bookshelf and read there if they wanted to. But this is one of the first bedrooms that I actually do, which is, in my head, the 2 oldest kids are grown quite a bit. They're teenagers getting closer to adulthood, and they are twins. This is the twin, like, girls' room, I've just decided. Like I said, I sort of made this family up in a whim in my head. Maybe I'll actually make them in Simland as well, but for now I was just making a family up in my head to give these rooms personality, and I wanted to give the kids each some sort of hobby or something that they were really getting into and started dedicating themselves into. And hers, as you could see, was a spellcaster. She wanted to try to get into spellcasting. Her family's perfectly okay with that. They don't mind her getting into that. So she was, you know, getting her hands dove in there. I'm sure at this point she's a little bit, she's like late stage beginner at this point. And the other bedroom that you should be seeing here is her twin brother's room, who is into music. Which I feel like when it comes to boys, a lot of times I'll go generically into music. But I don't know why, I do. Honestly, when it comes to Sims in general, music is a big theme that I'll have them, like, give them to be, like, a hobby of theirs. Just because it's one of the easier ones to give them with the items that we have. I do wish we had a lot more hobbies and activities that were different from each other. It seems like a lot of them are related to basically the same, like there's like one big base thing and then you can sort of branch it off, but in the end they're all still under a generalized category like art or music. Those are some big ones. Like, yeah, you have guitars, you have DJing, you have the violin, the piano, and I actually put it in his room where the mixing of the tracks. It's very similar to DJing basically, but but not exactly. At least I think it's trying to go for it's more in depth, but you know, and then there's also singing. Yes, I'm glad that we have all those options for music. I'm glad they're there. I don't want them to be taken away, and I don't want them to never been thought to been added. I like having the different branches of music, because not everyone's going to be into the same type of music, and then some people may be, like what I was going with him, trying to get into all different sides of music. But, and like art, like I said, it's another big one. Knitting would fall under that. The painting, photography, they all sort of fall under that. So there is some hobbies and activities and things like that that don't fit in those, but I feel like there could be more. Or just like little things. One of the big things that a lot of people mention that I also would like is the fixer-upper cart. I would love that to be back. But just stuff like that. But anyway, I'm getting a little all over the place now. The room at this point that you should be seeing, and it's almost finished, so by the time I'm talking into this, it's going to go into another room. But this is like the live-in maid, the butler, whatever you want to call them. Obviously, they like the color purple. I did put the little knitting, like, octopus thing on it because the next child's bedroom you should be seeing, she was going to be into knitting. She loved knitting, so I just imagine that she knit this little purple octopus for the live-in maid butler person. I was like, I know you like purple, here you go. And I just thought it as a little adorable thing, and like it made them happy, so they keep the little octopus on their nightstand, and just a bunch of adorableness. That was like the main thing that I really liked about that room, is the little octopus. But, so yeah, that is the live-in butler maid's room. There's also the laundry room that you've seen there, because why not? This is such a big house. They need it, and there's like a family, so you know, having a big separate laundry room is nice. My washer and dryer is connected to my kitchen. It's like in what a lot of people probably would have turned into a pantry. But then I really don't know where our washer and dryer would have went, so it barely has any room. They're just sort of there, and they're tucked away by folding, like, doors, and that's it. So a whole-on laundry room would be nice. But, yeah, anyway. So this room that you should be seeing at this point is the little girl's room that I was mentioning that she was into knitting, and I decided that, you know, some of her favorite colors was gray, black, and yellow. Like, yellow is like a very poof in your face color, especially when you're pairing it with black and gray, but I also really like it with black and gray. Like, I think it looks really nice. So I decided this kid is into these colors. And I will say, I wish the wall that her, like, dollhouse is against and her bed is against, I would have put more stuff on it, because I realized, especially when taking the screenshots, that it didn't have a whole lot going on. But yeah, she's the one who's into knitting, so I had like all these little knitting stuff everywhere and had a lot of fun with it. And I just think it's adorable, and I imagine that, you know, she gives out little knitting things to family members and friends, and like, look at this, I made this for you. And I just imagine it being all around adorbs. Now, the last one is the toddler room that of the bedrooms, that is not the master bedroom. And as you can tell, this is the third floor. The third floor is the smallest floor, thankfully, when it comes to time building. But yeah, so it is the smallest floor, and this is the toddler's room. I did go and put the toddler chair down in the dining room, though I kept the chair because in my head that makes sense, and a lot of family members I know do that. When you have to substitute a chair for something else, or you want to have an extra chair to add to the dining room table, but you don't necessarily want it always under the dining room table, because, you know, you might need an extra chair for when you have a bunch of people over, so you can just move it over or whatever. So that's why the chair's still sitting over there. If they really need to, they can move the chair's moved back over there. It just didn't disappear out of nowhere. They didn't toss it out because they needed to put a toddler chair there for a few years. It's still there and ready to go back to where it was when they no longer need the toddler chair there. So, yeah. I will say, the younger the kid gets, the harder it is for me to decorate the room, especially if the room is a bigger, like a medium to bigger size room. So I was like, what do I put here and there, and just trying to fill stuff out. And a lot of times I put stuff against the walls because that's just how I personally would do furniture, except for like living rooms, put the couch in the middle, that's fine, like stuff like that. But when it comes to like bedrooms and stuff, I like the open middle just in case you need that floor room to bring something in, or like a lot of times kids will sit on the floor and do stuff with their friends when their friends come over. So I sort of like that open space, especially for kids and toddler rooms, but at the same time it looks very empty sometimes. But I added a bunch of little toys here and there. I did try to put the toy thing in the middle. I'd imagine they wouldn't have that bin in the middle always, but you're not always gonna have the room tidy 100%. So it's fine, especially a toddler's room. But anyway, we are now on to the master bedroom, which, as you can tell, I was really trying to decide on what bed to use, because I liked putting those, like, sheer curtains, which I didn't put curtains, like, anywhere else in the house, and I realized that. My bad, I forget curtains quite often. But you know what I didn't forget, which I forget more often than curtains? You may have noticed it in the last video. I remembered the mailbox and the trash cans for outside. I was quite proud of myself for remembering that, because those are the two things I forget more than anything else. And half of the time when I go take screenshots, the mailbox likes to poof itself right in front of the front door, and I'm like, I can't take a screenshot of this room when you're there. So I have to go into build mode, move the mailbox, then go back into live mode and go back in to take my screenshots. So the stupid mailbox gets annoying, but I've been remembering. I've been getting better at that. So I'm quite proud of myself. But yeah, this is the master bedroom. I really like this bed, and I think it works well with the curtains that I did. The only thing is I don't like the quilted pattern on it. I wish this bed had some options that it wasn't that quilted texture on it. My luck, the red probably would not have been in the non-quilted texture if they would have done that, but you know what I'm saying. I think I do actually have a few custom content beds that use that as like a base, and they don't have the quilted thing on it and stuff. But as always, all of my, well, not always, but the majority of my builds that I do here on my channel, I have no CC on them. And that's because I want to be able to make it easier for you all to download, even though I don't limit the packs, and I know not everyone's going to have all the packs and such. But I try not to go too overboard, and hopefully the stuff that I do use from packs you don't have is easy to replace with CC that you might have, or stuff from other packs. I always say that I need to try to do some builds where I limit the packs that I use, but I never actually end up doing it. But yeah, so that was the master bedroom, and they have like their own balcony that they sort of can just go out and enjoy like a morning coffee together and relax, hopefully have some time away from the toddler if possible, you know, just enjoy life. And the bedroom does have a lot of red in it, but like I said, the big theme of this house was keeping red going through most of the rooms, and they would be the main people deciding it. The parents, the head of the household, the ones who own the house would be making a decision on most of the rooms in the house. Other than the other bedrooms, they would let, you know, kids start sort of decorating on their own if they're nice parents. I had too much fun decorating my room as I grew up. At one point there used to be nothing but cut out pictures on my wall. There's still remnants of some of those pictures. Not all of the pictures have made it down off of the wall. Just as I put shelves up and move things around as when these pictures have been coming off the wall. But some of them still remain and have been up there for a while. But at one point I had most of half of my room completely covered of nothing but cut out pictures that I printed off myself. And it was covering my room in them. And it was just basically making my room one big giant collage. It never took up the full room, but it probably got to a good 70% of the room. Then I started changing things and started wanting shelves and things like that to display my amiibos and my other collections and stuff like that. So the pictures slowly started coming down. And I was keeping an eye out there. I didn't put red in the master bathroom, and now I'm sort of annoyed. It looks like at one point I thought about putting a rug, but then changed my mind and didn't put a red rug in it. So I didn't fully go through the red throughout the whole entire house, minus, the bedroom. So, and I missed it in one really important room. That's one room that, the people just putting this red everywhere in this house would probably definitely want red in, because that's their main bathroom. Their main personal bathroom. Somehow I forgot it. But anyway, you should be seeing the screenshots now. I really hope that you like how this build turned out and like this video. Make sure to hit that like button if you did, and subscribe if you're not already so that you don't miss out on future builds. My builds come out on every Wednesday and sometimes every other Saturday? Yes, Saturday. So some weeks you'll get double builds and some weeks it would just be one build. But yeah, so I do have builds out every single week. So you could catch different builds and see more builds that I do in the future, as well as other stuff that I do on my channel. I do Creative Sims LPs, and I don't just do Sim stuff. I have 2 other series on my channel that are non-Sims related, and they will stay non-Sims related even after those particular games end. I will start new games that are non-Sims related. So, yeah. Anyway. And as a reminder, if you do want to download this for yourself, it will be up on the gallery. It is going to be called the Overlook Mansion, so you can look for that. My origin ID is Artistic Gamer 7. If you ever forget the information, I do put my origin ID and the name of the build down in all the descriptions, so any build that you ever see on my channel, it will be down in the description as a reminder. My social medias are also down in the description below, so if you want to follow me on those. I am currently mainly only active on Twitter. I am sort of on Facebook, but I use Facebook in more of a private manner, so like the groups I'm a part of are like private groups, so they don't show up on my timeline when I post on my main timeline, so I don't really fool with Facebook too much. I might eventually make a Facebook page that is more for my gaming stuff and for things like that. I don't know, but eventually I do have an Instagram and technically a Twitch and technically a Tumblr and also a TikTok, so if you're able to find me on those, you can feel free to follow me or whatever. I don't think I have I might have my Instagram link still down in the description below, but it's all Artistic Gamer 7, so it wouldn't be too hard to find in those cases if you really want to. I'm just not active on those yet. I'm gonna slowly accumulate to being active on a lot of them again, so if you want to go ahead and follow me on those and be there for when I do get active, you can feel free to do so. And let me know what was your favorite part about this build down in the comments below. I personally think the whole back half of the house is my favorite part from the outside, with the gazebo, the balconies, the porches, the sort of outside eating area, the pool and everything. That whole back area is personally my favorite, but overall I'm very, very happy with this mansion. I love how this mansion turned out, more so than some builds that I've done in the past few months, but I'm happy. I'm still always proud of all of my builds because I feel like I'm slowly growing, and though there is a lot more builders out there that are way better than I am, and they are so much more talented, I'm still very happy with what I do, so in the end, I'm never really too disappointed or ashamed of them, so I have a lot of fun doing them, and I'm always proud of them to some degree. Some more than others, but I'm always happy with them. I'm like, yeah, like even if it doesn't look good, I probably learned something from it. So it's always really, really nice to build and stuff. And I wish I would have got into it sooner. I wish I would have been more into building in even the previous Sims. Sims 4 is the first Sims that I have fully got into building. And I've played all of them. I started on the very first Sims for PC. And I played Sims 1. I played Sims 2. I played Sims 3. And I never once really built in them. I built at least 2 or 3 houses probably in every single one of them, just because I wanted to give it a try or whatever, but I never like fully tried. I never tried to learn tricks of building and some of the basics of building and the better mechanics of building for any of those games. I just basically built squares, put them together, and did whatever. I didn't try to test the boundaries of my skills at all in those ones. So I sort of wish I would have. I feel like it would have been a lot of fun. And in some ways I want to go back and play some of the older Sims, but I am afraid to do so. I am afraid to put multiple Sims games on this computer because I have a few other things also on this computer game-wise, like Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster and Among Us. Among Us is very tiny, I know, but it's one of the games that came across on my mind at the time. But I'm fear what would happen if I put all the Sims on the same computer. So maybe if I get a newer computer in the future, I will transfer Sims 4 over onto it and then have this one for the other ones and only have those games on this one and give the old ones a try again. I don't know where I could find to get those old ones though, that's the thing. But anyway, does Origin have all of the old ones on them? That'd be a lot of money to rebuy, but oh well, I might. I think I would go for Sims 2 first, though, if I was really gonna do it. But yeah, anyway. So, thank you so much for watching the video and seeing this build all the way through. Again, it's up on the gallery if you'd like to download it. Please like, share, subscribe, you know, all that lovely YouTube goodiness. And I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye!